Let's be honest. Easter is kinda weird. One minute we're talking about Jesus rising from the dead, and the next we're coloring eggs, hunting for candy, and taking pictures with a giant bunny in a vest. So what's the deal? Where did Easter come from? Why do we celebrate it the way we do? And how do rabbits, eggs, and chocolate fit into all of this? Let's break it down. First things first. Easter is a Christian holiday that celebrates the resurrection of Jesus Christ. According to the Bible, Jesus died on a cross, was buried, and came back to life 3 days later. That's a pretty big deal for Christians because it means Jesus beat death and gave people hope for eternal life. But here's something most people don't realize. The Bible never tells people to celebrate Easter, and it definitely doesn't say anything about eggs or bunnies. The earliest Christians didn't even agree on when to celebrate the resurrection. Some wanted to do it at the same time as the Jewish holiday of Passover. Others said it should always be on a Sunday. In the year 325, a big church meeting called the Council of Nicaea decided that Easter would be celebrated on the first Sunday after the first full moon after the spring equinox. That's why the date of Easter moves around every year. It's based on the moon and the calendar, not a set day like Christmas. Okay, so what about the name Easter? That's not in the Bible either. In many languages, Easter is called something like Pascha, which comes from the word Passover. But in English, the name Easter might come from a pagan goddess named Eostre. She was a spring goddess in ancient Europe, and people would celebrate her with festivals and, yep, symbols of fertility like eggs and rabbits. That leads us to the question everyone wants answered. What do eggs and bunnies have to do with Easter? Let's start with the eggs. Long before Christianity, eggs were used in springtime festivals as a symbol of new life. That makes sense. After all, baby birds hatch from eggs, and spring is when nature wakes up after winter. Christians later used the egg as a symbol of Jesus' empty tomb, the shell being like the rock that was rolled away when he rose from the dead. In some traditions, especially in Eastern Europe, eggs are dyed red to represent the blood of Christ. In the Middle Ages, people weren't allowed to eat eggs during Lent, the 40 days leading up to Easter. So when Easter came, they celebrated by eating all the eggs they had saved up. And what about the Easter bunny? That story comes from German folklore. Hundreds of years ago, Germans told tales about the Osterhase, a magical hare that laid colored eggs for good children. When German immigrants came to America in the 1700s, they brought the bunny tradition with them. Over time, the bunny started bringing candy and gifts, kind of like a springtime Santa Claus. Eventually, companies jumped on the bandwagon. Chocolate bunnies, marshmallow chicks, and plastic eggs filled with candy started popping up everywhere. Easter turned into a mix of sacred and silly, a holiday where people go to church in the morning and eat jelly beans in the afternoon. So where does that leave us? Easter is a blend of Christian faith, old traditions, and a whole lot of springtime fun. For some people, it's the most important religious holiday of the year. For others, it's about egg hunts, family brunch, and cute baby animals. And for many, it's both. Whether you're in it for the church service or the chocolate, or both, Easter has one big message: new life, fresh starts, and hope. So the next time you see a bunny carrying a basket of eggs, remember, behind all the candy and costumes is a story thousands of years old. A story about life coming back, light after darkness, and the promise that every winter eventually turns to spring. And maybe that's worth celebrating, with or without the Peeps.